And now we go to the Monarchs, and this is a team that won 97 games, best record in the National League. And you can kind of see why here. This team's pitching was overall fantastic. Kyle Hendricks was really good, 3.16 ERA, 1.05 whip, just doesn't walk anybody. And I mean, look at what was this? His walk rate, 1.43 per 9 innings, is really fantastic. So he was really good this season. He is a free agent, though, so want to try to get him back, but he's going to be a very sought-after pitcher if he does go to free agency. And then Aaron Nola was really good. This team shelled out $31 million to get him to come back for a few more seasons, and he was awesome this year. He pitched like an ace, 22 home runs, only in 212 innings, a 3.01 ERA, 18 quality starts, 5 complete games, shutouts. That's kind of insane. 4 WAR for him. That is right up there with his career highs, under 1 home run per 9 this season. So, yeah, Aaron Nola was an ace. He was awesome, and he did increase in his attributes as well. Dane Dunning, not as good as last year, but still really good. It's still a very solid number 3 pitcher for you with a 3.58 ERA. Zach Gallen started really slow, started poorly this season, but overall and ended up finishing with a good season and better numbers than last year in every category. Less hits allowed, less runs allowed, less home runs allowed. Actually, that's a really significant less home runs allowed there. Walked less guys, got more strikeouts, a sub-4 ERA, had 1 more quality start than he did last year, had his highest career WAR. So, yeah, really good stuff from Zach Gallen this season, and only 28 years old. I think he's still kind of entering his prime, and he did increase in his attributes by quite a bit there. Nicole Irvin started as a reliever here and moved into starting pitching, and he started 23 games, and he was awesome as his team's number 5 pitcher, 205 innings pitched, did give up a lot of hits, but overall 140 strikeouts, only allowed 85 runs. Arbitration over him for a few more seasons, so he's got a few more years of team control. Joe Piamps was really solid as a long reliever again for the second straight season. And, 1.6 for him. I'll take these numbers. Good attribute increases. 3.53 ERA for him. Andrew Chafin, below, those numbers are really similar to what he did last year, honestly, in a lot of ways. More walks, but overall very similar numbers to last season. He is a free agent, so that'll be interesting to see what he does. Maybe he goes into and explores free agency. Tim Bastar, though, was pretty bad this year, 5.9 or 5.19 ERA. I mean, he had a lot of strikeouts. Actually, the strikeout rate went up by a crazy amount here, actually. Yeah, from 7.69 to 12.12 there. But overall, didn't really pitch all that great. But still, he's really young, only 23 years old. So he's got time to bounce back. Will Harris was very good, 20 runs and 49 innings for him. So good signing. I don't know. I don't remember which team he played for at the second half of last year, but that signing worked out for them. He pitched well. And then Mike Myers was actually bad. He definitely took a step back from last year. He gave up, over twice as many home runs as he did last season. Walked a lot more guys. So he struggled this year. He had a -6 decrease in walk per 9. Makes sense. But then Dylan Flo was awesome. 31 holds in 50 innings, only allowed 16 earned runs, only walked 22 guys. So those are great numbers for Dylan Flo. Plus 11 to K per 9 is a awesome increase there, actually. That's insane. I mean, look at how much his carry went up. Wow, his carry. That's insane. His carry almost doubled. That's insane. I've never really seen that before. So, yeah, he had a fantastic season and only 1 more year, but, man, he is a awesome setup guy. And then Colin McHugh, he was in the running for reliever of the year this year. 53 saves. I think that led the National League. 56 strikeouts, 2.77 ERA. I mean, he was even better than he was last year, and he was fantastic last season. So he's awesome. He is a free agent, though, so definitely interested to see whether or not they are able to re-sign him. He's going to be a very sought-after closing pitcher if he does explore free agency. Yeah, this bullpen was overall really good. A couple of guys kind of struggled, Mayers and Bastar being the main guys, but overall it was a very solid bullpen. And then the offense. This offense, they struggled to getting on base. They were one of the worst teams at being able to do that this year, but their power was really good, and their offense overall, I think, was solid and won't be solid enough to win them a championship. We'll have to see. But Chris Taylor, he had a career year. I mean, these are career numbers for him. I mean, very comparable to 2017 for him, actually, in a lot of ways. But first time with an over 500 slugging percentage, career high in OPS, a career high in on-base percentage, and 28 home runs. That's also career high. So, yeah, his career highs and so much for him, 30 doubles as well. He was an unbelievable leadoff hitter this season for Kansas City. He was probably their best hitter overall this season. I mean, a 12% walk rate is fantastic. +9 to power versus lefties for him. So Chris Taylor was awesome this year. Brandon Nimmo, definitely a decrease in his average and on base. Those two numbers went down quite a lot. His slugging also decreased. So Brandon Nimmo, I mean, he struck out way, way more than he did last year this season. Really struggled with that. And overall, this was definitely a down year for him. This is his highest K rate that he's had since 2019 in his career. So Brandon Nimmo, I mean, a down year, 2 more years of team control. They're still really, this is still a pretty cheap contract for him. But we'll see. I mean, I think hopefully he can bounce back next season. And then Yordan Alvarez was good, but also kind of struggled. I mean, his average and his on base definitely took a step back, below 800 OPS for the first time in his career. Still had 34 home runs, but didn't have a lot of doubles this year, actually. Struck out more than he ever has, or back to 2021 strikeout rates actually for him. But it's a strikeout increase from 19.7 to 22.2 this year, and the WAR dropped off pretty significantly there, down to 2.5. So, he's still so young. He's only 26 years old, and you're still paying him, dirt cheap for what he can do. And I'm not really worried about Yordan Alvarez. I think he'll bounce back and have really good numbers again next season and still continue to be very good. But this was a down year for him, I'll have to say. Austin Nola, though, not a down year for him, man. This is a career season for him. Career high in home runs and RBIs and hits, doubles. I mean, basically everything in a full season at least. He had an 825 OPS in 2020, but he only had 161 at-bats that year. So he increased his potential, increased his attributes quite significantly. 271 batting average, 345 on base for a catcher is fantastic, and had a 4.4 WAR. That's career high. So really good numbers for Austin Nola. He's also a very good defensive catcher, and $2.2 million for that production is a steal. And then Matt Chapman, got him after the trade deadline, and I like what he did. Since he came here, I don't know exactly what his splits were. I might flash on the screen what his numbers were actually when he got here, and maybe do a little bit of a comparison. But either way, he's a good hitter, and this is pretty on par with what he's done in his career. Very similar numbers actually to 2021, with the exception that he had a better on base because his slugging was slightly higher. But also his defense is insane. 4 WAR is actually his highest since 2019, which is pretty impressive there. He only committed 1 error, probably won another Gold Glove. I don't know how many that is in his career, but yeah, he was really good this year, and hopefully he's going to be a difference maker for this team in the postseason. And then Andrew McCutchen, this is what you kind of thought he was going to do this season. He pretty much did what you asked him to do, 20-plus home runs, a 243 average, a 740 OPS, perfectly fine numbers. Didn't really tank as much as I thought he was going to at 37 years old. So, yeah, I definitely want to keep him for another season. And then Max Muncy, great signing from San Diego. He was awesome this year. 36 home runs. That is a tie, the tie to career high in home runs for him. 28 doubles this year, which is a career high, and a 369 on base and 912 OPS. Only the second time that he's achieved over 900 OPS in his career, and a 3.8 WAR, which is up there with some of his career highs. But yeah, Max Muncy is a fantastic player, and 3 more years for him on this team. And again, this is another guy that this team acquired this season that hopefully, they want him to make a big impact, and hopefully he's going to be a key piece in bringing them home a championship this year. But Bollywood Jr., this is a guy that was really disappointing to me this season. I mean, he played in 40, almost 40 more games than he did last season, and he had the same amount of home runs, less doubles, and basically the same amount of RBIs. He just didn't walk at all. I mean, this is a bad year for Bollywood Jr. I'm just going to have to say it. Only a 622 OPS, less than a 1 WAR, only a 5% walk rate. That is just dreadful. He did increase in his attributes by quite a lot, actually. But, yeah, this is a down year for Bollywood Jr. Hopefully he can recover and continue to play well because he's an awesome player in real life. And, he's only 23 years old in this game. So I have hope that he's going to be able to bounce back from a poor season. But definitely he's going to have to do that because this year was just not good for him. Trent Grisham was, not amazing. He was very average there. And I think that final outfield spot is definitely in a little bit of a flux. And I don't know really who's going to take over that spot going into next year. Like, is it going to be Riley Green, who we gave 56 games to, and he just played poorly? He didn't really play very well. So is it going to be him? Is it going to be Trent Grisham again? Are they going to want to go after somebody in free agency? I don't really know what the plan is there in that last outfield spot for this team going forward, but we just have to see. Now, this team does have Ronnie Mauricio. I think he's still a ways away because his vision discipline are just so ridiculously low. And they kind of traded away a lot of their other prospects. They had a couple of prospects that they gave away in that trade. But Lonnie Burke, watch out for Lonnie Burke. I mean, he's only a 64 overall. His defense is awful, but those hitting ratings are really, really intriguing. I'm actually very intrigued to see whether or not I can fit him into this lineup as a DH going into next year because those hitting stats are good enough for him to actually get a shot in the majors, I think. Who is this team's DH? Right now it's Andrew McCutchen, which makes sense because McCutchen really can't play defense either. So we'll have to see about that. I don't know. Maybe, oh man, that's going to be tough. But I'll make that decision when I have to there on what I want to do with him. But now we go to the Sluggers, and this team just had a disappointing last month. They were lined up for a postseason spot. I thought for sure they were going to get a wild card spot, and they just really struggled in this month of September. They only had, they didn't win multiple. They only had one couple game winning streak right here, but 4-game losing streak right here, another 4-game losing streak right here, and then a 5-game losing streak there in the last week of the season against Minneapolis. So this team really blew it here. They had a chance to make their first postseason appearance in their history, and they just could not finish it off. And here's Lance Lynn, continues to be getting tanked by the CPU, and overall, I'm really annoyed by this, but he had a good season. 4.02 ERA for him. Rodriguez was okay, not amazing. Worse than last year in a lot of ways. Yu Darvish was really good. Actually, this team's best pitcher overall. 20 games started, 2.6 WAR. He's 37 years old, but he's a free agent. He's still 79 overall, so he can still have a couple more good seasons actually. And really, this is his best year that he's had, maybe in his entire career. Like, it's comparable to 2013 for him. These numbers are actually really, really good for Yu Darvish. Jameson Taillon, this was a disaster of a signing. He was bad, almost 100 runs allowed for him this season. So I don't know what happened from the transition between San Diego and St. Louis, but he really underperformed. Tristan McKenzie, though, was very solid as this team's number 3 guy and really good. Attribute increases +9 to home run per 9. But 175 innings pitched this year, 16 quality starts, 2.9 WAR. Really good increase there from last year for him. So intrigued to see what happens with Tristan McKenzie going forward. But yeah, this pitching staff really wasn't as good as I think it could have been. as here's Aaron Ashby. Fantastic attribute increases, and he had a fantastic season. 121 innings pitched, allowed 40 runs, only 14 homers, 122 strikeouts, below 3 ERA, below 1.35 WHIP, really low there, 1.2 WAR. Really good numbers for Aaron Ashby. I love what I saw from him this year. But Ryan Tepera, a year after being one of the better closers in baseball, he really had a bad year this year. 56 innings, 28 runs, allowed, doubled his run total from last year this season, and he went down in his attributes because of it. And he's a free agent, and I just don't think it's going to be really something that this team is interested in re-signing him after this year. Jose Sonero was not good at 11.2 innings. Joe Barlow was good. He had 46.2 innings, only allowed 13 or 15 earned runs, only allowed 3 homers in 46.2 innings, and had a 2.89 ERA. So good stuff for him. You're paying him, dirt cheap there for that contract. Pedro Ortiz is a beast. I mean, this guy is so good. 57.1 innings, 25 holds, and 69 strikeouts. I think I might give him a shot at this team's closer role next season. I don't really know who is the closer right now. Actually, it's Kenley Jansen. That's right. Traded for him this year. But yeah, I love Pedro Ortiz. He is just such a beast, and he's still only 26 years old, but he's been awesome in his first 2 major league seasons. That guy, 15.2 innings, okay. And then Kenley Jansen, he was awesome this year. 46 saves, only blew 3 saves all year. Gave up 18 runs, 8 home runs, only 15 walks across 60 innings, and 2.7 ERA and exactly a 1 WHIP. -6 to K9. I don't know why, because he had the same amount of. I guess he had less than he did last year and less innings, but either way, I don't think he deserves to -6 there, but whatever. But yeah, still really awesome season for Kenley Jansen. And he is up to 434 career saves in his career. That is insane. He get past the 400 save mark this year, and 1 more year for him on this team. But yeah, he'll be the closer going forward next year. I think there's definitely some guys in this bullpen that I really like: Barlow, Ortiz, and Jansen. But overall, maybe they might need another. They might need a significant upgrade. I think they might go after some really big pitchers, and they might, like Jacob deGrom. Is that a possibility for this team? I definitely think that is a player that they will look at trying to go after in the offseason. And then the offense here. So you got Brian Anderson, who did go up a lot in his attributes. I like those increases. And then you got him 272 batting average, 755 OPS, and a 3.4 WAR. He is a free agent, so we'll see what happens there, where he goes after this. Julio Rodriguez, pretty similar numbers to last year, although the average is a lot lower because he had more at-bats and the same amount of hits, basically. But 29 home runs, 95 RBIs, does strike out a little bit too much, I think, and that's probably his biggest issue right now, 26% K rate, almost 27%. But really good, plus 10 to Connor versus lefties. He's only 23 years old, and he's only 83 overall. He is going to be a beast. Giancarlo Stanton was, this is like competing for MVP type numbers. These are insane numbers for Stanton this year. 312 average, 376 on base, and 976 OPS. And, this is a guy that has just put up unreal numbers for a lot of his season in his career. But this is honestly one of his better seasons of his entire career. 601 slugging, and that is the best that he's had since 2017. And honestly, that year is probably his best of his career. But this one is right on par with it. His first time getting over 40 home runs since 2019, actually, and only the second time he's ever done it, which is kind of surprising. But 175 hits, just everywhere you look, Giancarlo had an unreal year. 5.7 WAR for him, and 13 at-bats per home run, and that's just insane. Yeah, Giancarlo Stanton had almost a career season this year, and he got extended with his contract. But yeah, he was a beast, an absolute stud this year, a superstar, and increased in his attributes even more this season. And then Matt Olson, This is a down year. I mean, still had 27 home runs, but I mean, not as good as last year in really any category and below 800 OPS. First time we've seen that in a full season for him since 2018. So it's been a while since he's put up a below 800 OPS for a full season. But still a good season, 2.6 WAR. It's not really up to standard with him, but it's still decent. It's not awful. Did decline a little bit there. But in Rogers was very average, not very good. Michael Conforto was pretty solid. This is, I think, a good signing from Toronto in the offseason for this team. 20 home runs. You take that, 60 RBIs, put up very similar numbers to what he did last year. So he was a very solid contributor to this team. Only had, didn't have a lot of WAR, but was overall, this is not a bad signing, and it worked out, I think, for them. This signing also worked out for St. Louis, and Justin Turner had a really fantastic year, basically an 800 OPS, and 39 years old. You don't know what to expect from a guy that is that old and is declining a lot in his attributes, but this is a fantastic year for Justin Turner. How many more years he goes in the majors, it remains to be seen, but he's going to be on this team's lineup next year for sure. And then Mitch Garver, 26 home runs, 55 RBIs. He did definitely get better as the season went on and finished with a 779 OPS. So, these numbers for a catcher especially is not bad. Obviously, it was a lot better last year, but wasn't awful this season. And he is a free agent, though, so that's going to be something to watch out for. I don't really think that this team has somebody that they will want to put in that spot. So that's going to be a big position, maybe of need, or a big guy that they want to get back. Harrison Bader, he's going to be a free agent, and his offense is just very subpar. He's great defensively, but that's about it. And then Brett Beatty, great attribute increases for him, and he had a good season. 34 games, 119 at-bats, a pretty significant sample there. And nearly 800 OPS, 277 batting average. So I really liked what Beatty was able to do this year. He'll be a starter next season for sure. And the bench on this team was not very good. So, yeah, what are they going to do at catcher if Mitch Garver is not able to be re-signed? I mean, they have a couple of guys that are prospects down here, but I don't think Ivan Herrera is ready for the majors yet right now, really in any way. So that'll be something that this team is going to have to really stop and consider going into next year. And then we get to the Arrows, and the Arrows, their offense was definitely, I think it was worse than last year. Gavin Lux, I mean, really good increases, actually, but he only had a 323 on base, and he was below average. He was okay, not really amazing this season. Mark Canha, plus 12 to Carter versus lefties. That's kind of an insane increase there, but 28 home runs, 86 RBIs, 825 OPS. I mean, those numbers are awesome. He had a really, really strong season, 2.8 WAR for him this year. Vladdy had another really strong season, third year in a row with over 40 home runs for him in a campaign, and 86 RBIs, 73 walks at 343 on base in 860 OPS. And he's only 25 years old. He is just an absolute beast and improved in his attributes even more. Vladdy is just insane. I don't know how you can really pitch to this guy. He is so good and dangerous. Cedric Mullins, second straight year with unreal numbers. He was even better this season than he was last year. Struck out less, walked more, 30 home runs, ties a career high, 86 RBIs, basically the same amount of doubles, but more triples. Just got on base more, slugged a little bit higher. This is awesome stuff from Cedric Mullins. 7.1 WAR. That is insane. So, yeah, I mean, 10% walk rate to 14.9% K rate. Like those differences are incredible and awesome attribute increases. Cedric Mullins is honestly one of the best outfielders in baseball right now. He is just insane, back-to-back, unreal seasons, 4 more years of contracts for him on this team. But yeah, he is such a beast. Under 100 strikeouts is really, really just significant there. And then Austin Hayes, 100 games started, and he actually did really well, I think. A 280 average, a 763 OPS. So, yeah, I like what I saw from him. We gave him more playing time than we did last year, and he played a lot better than last season. He was really bad last year, but he was pretty good this season. Josh Donaldson, he had a pretty good year, 26 home runs. That was actually more than he had last year. Very similar numbers to last year in a lot of ways. He did get on base a lot more because he did walk a lot less. He walked 90 times last year. His walk to strikeout ratio was actually kind of insane last season. He had a near 400 on base percentage. There were 380 on base percentage. So, yeah, the walk rate went down 11.1%. The K rate went up to 21.1%. But for a 38-year-old guy at the end of his career, that is a fantastic season. He will be a free agent. And I don't think that the Arrows will be really worried about trying to re-sign him. But we'll see. And then Zach Veen played all of this year in AAA, and he went up a lot in his attributes. And he's a 75 overall, and he's going to be a starter on this team's outfield going into next season for sure. I'm definitely wanting to have that happen for him. +7 and +9. He must have crushed lefties down there. So I'm excited to see what Zach Veen can do next season. And then David Fletcher didn't really do much. He struggled this year, and so did Danny Jansen. He really struggled. I don't know, man. I think this team is going to maybe try to look for a catcher as well in the offseason. Obi Vivas wasn't great. Tristan Casas wasn't great. Tony Walters was actually pretty decent as a backup catcher. Ezekiel Duran, okay. Geraldo Perdomo, this is a guy that I think I want to give some playing time to next season. I don't know if I'm going to want him to start, but I think I do. I think he might be starting for this roster next year. He does have a decent amount of playing time in the majors, and he hasn't been very good. So maybe that gives you pause on whether or not he's really ready yet. But I kind of figure this team, especially if they have an opening on this lineup, they might give Perdomo another shot in the majors this year. We go to the pitching, and we got Dustin May, who was solid, very good. I mean, those are, this is where the whip is the exact same. Did strike out a little bit less batters and did give up 9 more runs, but overall, this is fine. He's a good, ace quality pitcher. Zach Eflin, good numbers, pretty comparable to last season. Gave up, just a few less runs and a few in another inning or two that he pitched this year. So I like Zach Eflin. I think he's kind of one of those under the radar guys. Doesn't have a high K/9 or anything, but he just gets the job done. Doesn't allow a lot of walks. Doesn't really walk anybody, and doesn't allow a ton of runs either. 2 more years team control with him. Dylan Cease was not very good last year, and then follows it up with an even worse season this year. So, yeah, I don't know, man. Only 20 years old. He's running on thin ice, and I don't know how much more. If he puts up numbers like this again next season, we're going to have to really reconsider what I want to do with Dylan Cease in this rotation. James Caprillion was actually really solid in 23 games started, 185 innings, 72 runs, and 175 strikeouts, 3.5 ERA. Good attribute increases there. So, yeah, I like what James Caprillion actually did this season. 2.7 WAR is pretty solid for him. And then Chris Bubik was not very good in 74 innings. I don't know. Is he probably going to be the 5th starter for this team next year? So, by the way, the Arrows did win 93 games last year and won their division and made it to the playoffs. So, they only won 8. They had a below 500 record this year. So, they definitely dropped off quite significantly. And maybe the pitching had a big part to do with that. Zach Godley had a bad year. Pedro Baez was really good. He got kind of tanked in overall, though, but he was really good. I mean, 24 runs and 81 innings. So his workload increased by 20 innings almost there, and he gave up only 1 more run than he did all of last season. So, yeah, Pedro Baez was fantastic this year, actually. 39.1 innings for Brian Abreu. Those are pretty solid numbers. Good attribute increases for him. So, like what I saw from him this year, 3.43 ERA. Efrain Contreras, okay, pitched the same amount of innings as last year, basically, and those numbers did improve significantly. Does still have a problem with walks, still watch a lot of guys, but overall, those are not bad numbers. Hunter Wood was unbelievable, 63.1 innings and 11 runs allowed. That's it for him. A 1.56 ERA and a 1.11 whip. So Hunter Wood was unbelievable and had a 1.1 WAR. Yeah, I mean, after last season, for him, what he did this year is really impressive. Nicole Stolzer, 41.1 innings, 34 holds. He also only allowed 11 runs, 2.4 ERA, and a 1.04 whip. I mean, those are fantastic numbers as well for him, and he had some good attribute increases. And then Garrett Whitlock, 7 blown saves, 44 saves. You know, definitely a down year compared to last season by Garrett Whitlock, but I don't think it was an awful year. I think he did some things pretty well. I mean, he did give up, 15 more runs across, only 2 more innings, basically. So, yeah, it's his worst season of his career, but I think he's still a very solid closer. He's still only 27 years old, so I'm not really worried about him. But, now that I think about it, actually, this bullpen was probably not the issue. This bullpen was actually not that bad, besides Zach Godway. And the starting pitching was okay. So, I don't know. I think it was just the offense was maybe a lot worse than it was last year in some key areas. But honestly, I'm not really sure why this team had a losing record. You look at those stats and you kind of don't really think that this would be a team that lost, 83 games, but they did, and so they missed out on the playoffs. So now we go to the Millers, and this team, they improved on their win total here by 8. They were actually below 500 last season, and they played really well this year. They went 88 and 74, and they're in that wildcard spot. So interesting to see what happens with them in the playoffs here. But how do they kind of turn their team around and turn their season around? Well, they did it with a incredible last month of the season where they only lost like 5 or 6 games. They were one of the hottest teams in September entirely, and they did it off the back of a very solid pitching rotation and an improved offense with Kevin Gausman leading the charge. Very similar numbers to what he did last year. It looks like he pitched a little bit less innings, but he actually had more strikeouts, less home runs. Only had 19 all year, which is awesome. They were in 215 innings and a slightly lower ERA, allowed 3 less runs as well. So this is 2 straight seasons for him now with under a 2.8 ERA and 3 years in a row now that he's had a 2.8 ERA. He has solidified himself as one of the better starting pitchers out there in baseball. 3 years of contract for him left, but 2.76 ERA, 1.1 WHIP, 25 quality starts for a second consecutive season and 5 pitching WAR. That matches what he did in 2021 in real life there. And in 2021, he had a really high over 10 K rate. His K rate went up this year to 9 over 9. There, the home run rate, lowest of his career at only 0.8. And his walk rate was not that bad either. So, yeah, I mean, he had 227 strikeouts and 182 innings in 2021. But this is 3 straight years of him just being incredible, and 2 years in a row here for the Millers of him being, bona fide ace. And then German Marquez was, just pretty average last year, not anything exceptional. And he definitely improved on these numbers. Pitched 10 more innings, allowed 12 less runs on the season, got a lot more strikeouts this year, up to 153. He's going to get to 1,100 next season there. But a 3.66 ERA, 1.26 whip, 20 quality starts. That ties a career high for him. And 3.8 WAR, his best season WAR-wise since 2018. So it has kind of seemed like his K rate has fallen a little bit in recent seasons there, but his walk rate was really good this year, only 2.2, and his home run rate was also below 1. So, those are some really good stuff there. The advanced numbers like him a lot. He only had 51 walks in over 200 innings, which is spectacular. Yeah, there's a look at his attribute increases, and he is also, he's going to be a free agent, so Minneapolis could be losing out on a guy that seems to be kind of entering the prime years of his career, and a guy that has been very good for them and is coming off of one of his better seasons in a while, one of his better full seasons in a long time. And Harwon Kim, very similar stat line to what he did last season, honestly. Same amount of runs given up, although he did have less strikeouts. He did actually have a lot less hits there. But a 3.64 ERA, 12 quality starts, 0.6 WAR. There's nothing that he really excels at. He doesn't allow a lot of walks, which is good. His walk rate is at 3.08 there. But he's not a strikeout pitcher. He's just a guy that's pretty solid. Doesn't really give up a lot of runs. Doesn't give up on a lot of base runners. So he is on arbitration for 2 more years. I think he's a very solid number 3 pitcher for you. And then Steven Matz kind of had a turnaround as well. 32 games started. Same amount of innings as last year basically here, but everything for him was better, except he'd allow more home runs and more walks. But the same amount of strikeouts, allowed 7 less runs in, and just 0.1 and more innings there for him, a 3.69 ERA and a 1.35 whip in 32 games started. So 15 quality starts. This is an improvement from last year, and not really actually WAR-wise, which is kind of surprising to me there. I don't know why his WAR was so much better a year ago when he put up such similar stat line. I guess because his walks did increase a little bit. But either way, Steven Matz, a very solid number 4 starting pitcher. And then Kohei Urihara, 32 games started for him. And those are solid numbers as a number 5 pitcher. So, this is a pitching staff consisting of, one guy that is elite in Kevin Gausman. And then a lot of other guys there, especially 3 through 5, that are not like superstars, are not really even big names, but guys that just are consistent and guys that aren't going to put up really terrible stat lines, guys that are going to be able to pitch a good amount of innings for you. But I definitely think that, obviously they're going to have to find somebody else to replace German Marquez if he doesn't resign with them. But I do think that this team could use a really solid number 3 starting pitcher going into next year. That's something that they can definitely look at. Jose Suarez, plus 10 and a home run per 9. That's a crazy attribute increase there because he only allowed 10 of them in 99.2 innings. That's insane there. So a lot less of a lot smaller sample size for him. Only appeared in 42 games as opposed to 63 last year. But this smaller sample size was actually a lot better for him. Obviously, a ton less home runs, and had a 3.16 ERA and had a career year. I mean, first time that he's had a positive WAR in his career. The home run per 9 rate, below 1. So, few more years of arbitration. This is a great year for Jose Suarez. A lot of development for him also. And then Sixto Sanchez didn't actually start any games. Was mainly this team's long reliever for most of the season. But I actually like what he did this year. Last year was very poor for him, allowed over 100 runs last season as a starter, but moved into the long relief role, and he improved in a lot of ways there. The whip is way lower, the ERA below 4, and some good attribute development for him as well. They're still paying him pretty cheap, and he's still only 25 years old, so Sixto Sanchez might be a guy that I don't know if I'm going to have him start next year for this team or keep him in the long relief role. We'll have to see. Brett Martin was pretty good, although the whip was pretty high there. Did allow 48 hits in 34 innings, so that's kind of a little concerning there. But only gave up 14 runs. Chris Martin had another really good season. He is a free agent, though, 37 years old. Definitely declined a lot on the walk per 9. He did walk 11 more or 9 more batters than he did all of last year in 57 innings there. So, he allowed the same amount of runs, and that ERA 3.39, really good stuff from him. So Chris Martin is a very solid relief pitcher. We'll see if they can retain him. Jake Brentz was really bad. I don't think I'm going to see him, at least not at the start of the season in this team's bullpen next year. Eric Lauer didn't pitch a ton. I kind of wish he pitched a little bit more in this bullpen. He only pitched 21.1 innings there. But he was good in that kind of small sample, only gave up 8 runs total, and did have some good attribute increases. So he's up to 79 overall now. A couple more years of arbitration. Give him more innings next year, and we'll see what he can do with that. And then Liam Hendricks was just really struggled last year. I mean, had a 1.48 ER whip and over 4.3 ERA last season, but a lot less innings this year. He was their close-up, their setup guy this season, and he pitched a lot less innings and he gave up 13 runs there. And those are decent stats. But he is 35, so he's getting up there in age. He is also a free agent. I don't know. This team probably would want to re-sign him, but they're not going to want to re-sign him probably as their closer. They did re-sign Blake Trinan for a couple more years after last offseason, and he was the closer the whole entire year for them, and he had 42 saves. He did have 8 blown, which is a little bit high there, and it was not nearly as good as he was last year, but these are still pretty decent numbers for him with 45 innings, the 37 strikeouts there. So I think the bullpen as a whole was pretty solid for this team, and the starting pitching was also pretty good as well. And then let's look at this lineup. So you got Luis Arias here, good at power increases actually, career high in home runs. First time he's had double-digit bombs in his career, over 30 home runs. I mean, he's just an on-base machine, almost 200 hits, led the NL in hits, I believe, this season. Let's see if I can find that on my spreadsheet real quick. Yeah, so he did do that. He did lead the league in hits this year with 194. Really impressive stuff. Just an excellent leadoff guy. Just gets on base like crazy. The career average is still over 300 for him. Only 26 years old. 2 WAR this season. Just his walk rate, his carry rate is really low. But he is kind of getting near the end of his contract situation here. 1 more year of arbitration. He is signed next year, so they don't need to worry about giving him a contract in this offseason, but they're going to have to think about extending him next season on this team. And then Gavin Sheets was good last year, but my goodness, he was insane this season. He had career highs and everything except for hits. He did have 2 more hits last year, which is actually kind of crazy because he played in a lot less games and had 30 less almost 40 less at bats. But either way, still had more doubles, 1 more triple, but almost 40 homers, 439 bombs, 92 RBIs, walked more, struck out less, had a 344 on base and over 900 OPS. So yeah, he was dominant, 4.4 WAR, really awesome stuff there. You're still paying him really cheap there with the contract, but plus 90 was to just destroy lefties, plus 9 to contact and plus 7 to power against them, and then plus 8 to power versus righties. So he is just a righty masher now, up to 97 with his power versus righty stat, and he's still pretty young, still in his prime as a player. So exciting stuff to see from Gavin Sheets for sure. And then Fernando, one of the MVP frontrunners, and the game actually gave him the MVP, but I don't have him as the MVP in my spreadsheet. But still was, number 2, I would say, in MVP voting for me if I were with me deciding it. But led the league in home runs with 49, led the league in RBIs with 141. That is across baseball. That is across both leagues. I'm pretty sure. I'm just gonna double check. So yeah, Fernando, that's 49 is the most that anybody's had in the NL, and he actually tied Juan Soto with 141 RBIs, who did that last year, but that's the most that anybody's had, with the team in actually, no, he set that record all by himself. So yeah, most RBIs and most home runs in a season so far in this franchise in the National League, and most RBIs that we've seen for any player in these first couple of seasons of this franchise. But I mean, he got on base too. I mean, he did strike out more than he has in his career, but still 74 walks, still a 356 on base. The slugging at over 600 is just insane. Because he also had 41 doubles, which was like number 2 in all of baseball, and 13 triples, which
I do believe led the league there with that stat as well. But yeah, 21 stolen bases as well. I mean, just an all around great player. Did commit 30 errors though, which definitely high there. His defense still not his best attribute there, but I mean, at bat 12.8 at bats between home runs, 5.8 WAR, and I think it's the WAR being lower than somebody else that we're gonna check out later on in this video, but also the defense being as poor as it is. That was one of the biggest factors for me to make a decision to not give him the MVP, and you'll see who the MVP is later on. But he had a great season, and Chris Bryant also had a fantastic season. This kind of came out of nowhere for me. I mean, in real life, his career is pretty much over at this point. But in this game, he still had good attributes, but +9, +6. So, I mean, his power just went up like crazy, and this just came out of nowhere. I did not expect him to, put up a near 300 batting average with 20 plus home runs and 380 on base. I mean, these numbers are like career highs for um, Chris Bryant in a lot of respects. I mean, it's very comparable to what he did, really early on in his career when he first came up with the Cubs in real life, and he kind of just reverted back to that form. He had a 3.9 WAR, which is his highest since 2016. So definitely a surprising outburst from Chris Bryant this year. Definitely not expecting that, and you're paying him $26 million, so you better hope that you're getting production like this. Man, that contract is so bad. In this game, I guess it's not that bad when he's putting up those numbers, but in real life, it's so bad. And then Julio Ramos, I really liked what I saw from him this year. Started in 108 games, had over 100 hits, 25 doubles is a lot for that kind of a sample size, and had a near 800 OPS. Didn't strike out a ton, walked a little bit there. Yeah, 3.2 WAR, and that in that amount of time, his walk rate is really high there at 11.6%. So really good numbers for him, and just over 100 games. I think that you see his increases there. Didn't really hit lefties very well apparently there, but really good discipline increase, really good contact versus righties increase. I think Julio Ramos will probably be starting in this outfield full time, and we'll get the entire season next year for this team. AJ Pollock, 94 games. And, he led the team in RBIs last year. This year was not nearly as good. And, I mean, it's a down year in terms of average and on base for sure, but his slugging is higher, and so is his OPS, mainly because he had 25 home runs and like 150 less at bats, which is insane, actually. But yeah, so he actually had a lot of power this year. He hit a lot of bombs, but his defense is at the point where you really don't want to play him defensively anymore at this point in his career. And I think his offense is, he's going to decline, and he's a free agent. I don't think that this team is going to re-sign him. Eugenio Suarez can do one thing pretty well, and that's hit home runs, but this was actually, even worse in terms of slugging. This year for him only had 15 doubles, so I don't know. One more year for Suarez. I don't know what to do about him. I don't know how much trade value he really has. So we'll have to see if I want Suarez to be the starter there for this team at shortstop going forward next year. And then Jonathan India wasn't amazing, bet worse than last year in a lot of these areas. He did only start 94 games, but this is after building off of his, this season wasn't as good as his rookie year, but it wasn't bad. This is a down year, and he kind of capped out. I think he's capped out at what his potential is right now, and so I don't know how much better he is really going to get, and I think that does concern me going forward. What is my long term plans with Jonathan India? I'm not 100% sure about that right now. And then Tom Murphy, catcher, was a disaster of a position for this team all year. Tom Murphy played a little bit here. He was bad. Jake McCarthy wasn't great off the bench. Michael A. Taylor was not very good either, really good defensively, but that's about it. Joey Bart started the year as a catcher. He was just awful, and so at below 600 OPS, just had to take him out of that role. And then they did have another catcher that I called up for, a time. Jaime Maria was really bad, and his 54 innings pitched this season. But they do have a couple of, closing pitchers here. Mark Schnell, Derek Dillon. Both of these guys are close to being ready. I think Mark Schnell might get playing time next year at some point. But we did also have Pedro Severino play a little bit in the majors, but 39 games, and he was like even worse than Joey Bart was. I mean, that's just terrible numbers there. So I don't know what they're going to do about catcher next season. They're going to maybe try to find one or trade for one. I'm not sure. But we did call up Drew Mendoza at the call-up period, plus 11 to his Kleiner versus lefties. He's already 26, and he's already only going to be a 68 overall. I don't really know what his long-term prospects on this team are. He did not play very well in 10 games. He didn't really get as many at-bats as I would like him to, though. About that, this guy, okay, I don't know what his potential is, but he doesn't look terrible. And there's not really anybody else that is like super high on the radar in terms of prospects on this team. Eric Pena might have some potential here. He's getting close to where you would think you might want to call him up here soon. But yeah, that's this team, and hopefully they can build off of this really good year and continue to compete. So we go now to the Las Vegas Gamblers, and this team was bad. This is the worst team in the National League record-wise this season. They were not very good last year. They were even worse this season. And Corbin Burns, another really good season, won the Cy Young last year and followed it up with a really good season. It's insane that he, has an under 3 ERA and a 1.17 WHIP, and yet he lost 20 games this year. That's crazy to me, but yeah, I mean, did pitch less innings and did give up 10 more runs there, but still an excellent pitcher, still had 23 quality starts, still had over 4 WAR. Still one of the best guys and one of the best home run preventers in all baseball right now. So 2 more years of his contract. I think it's very likely that Corbin Burns will be traded in this offseason. Not guaranteed, but this team doesn't really have any reason to hold on to him for another year. I mean, teams know what he can do, and I think the time is now for Corbin Burns to be dealt. So I think that it's very possible that Corbin Burns is traded to another team in this offseason. Sean Manaea was pretty good last year, but he wasn't very great this season there with a 4.76 ERA. Just a 1.29 WHIP, allowed 100 runs, 96 earned there. James Paxton was pretty good, actually, and even better than last year in a lot of respects, although did pitch a little bit less innings there. But overall, 3.28 ERA, 1.31 WHIP, 17 quality starts, and a couple of shutouts actually there too. 3 WAR, best he's had since 2018. So good stuff from James Paxton. Now, he is declining, and he does have 2 more years of his contract. I think we'll see what the market for him could be, but kind of my plan with James Paxton was to deal him if he did well, and so there might be a trade in the works for him also. Sammy Woods Richardson was not very good. Unfortunately, was even worse than last year in a lot of those ways with expanded pitching time. Didn't really develop a ton. I don't know what that pitching staff is going to look like next year. It's going to look really interesting, and probably a lot of young guys in that pitching rotation next season. Robert Gesellman, man, he is pretty good. I mean, 19 home runs. There were 45 earned runs for him in 119 innings there, over 100 strikeouts. So good stuff from him, 30 years old. Jojo Romero didn't pitch at all last year, got his shot this season, and actually pitched pretty well in 137 innings, 3.66 ERA, did get 130 strikeouts there too. Did walk 57 guys, that's pretty high, but overall was good. Rowan Wick, was good, actually, really solid. 26 runs in 65 innings and 45 strikeouts there. So he's in arbitration. I mean, we'll see what happens with this bullpen, but guys that do well in this bullpen that are, you know, in their mid to like early 30s are also, all trade candidates. Phil Maton, I definitely thought about wanting to trade him this year, and then he just kind of had a down year. Didn't have 105 strikeouts, which is a ton there, but, had a 4.32 ERA. So we'll see. He's a free agent. Somebody's going to want him, but did decline a lot in home run per nine there. Yeah, did allow a lot of home runs. And then Kyle Cody, 27 innings was really bad. Willie Carrillo is a guy with C potential that had some good attribute increases, didn't pitch very much, only pitched one inning there. Andres Munoz, one of the better younger pitchers there. Does still give up quite a bit of base runners overall, but 16 runs. He's only 25 years old, and good increases there. And then Chad Green signed him from Winnipeg, and he was good. 36 saves, a 3.12 ERA. Maybe not as good as last year, very similar, same ERA as this season in 2021, but the whip was a lot lower for him. So, he's 32 years old. He is getting kind of tanked by the CPU a little bit more than some of these other guys, but 2 years of team control, I think that a trade with him is also pretty likely with this team. So we move on from their pitching staff. We go to their offense, which was not very good this year, suffice it to say. Starling Marte had 39 stolen bases. That led the league there in that category, but had a below 300 on base, only a 257 batting average, and only a 1.6 WAR. So he was not that amazing offensively. He is getting tanked by the CPU. Unfortunately for Las Vegas, they don't have a lot of big contracts right now, which is good, but they are paying him a lot of money, too much considering what his production is. But either way, that's him there. Tommy Edman, dude, I don't know what to do about him. I kind of want to trade him, but I just don't really think he's going to have a lot of trade value for you. This is 2 seasons really in a row where he's been very average to slightly below average in a lot of these ways. And so he's just not a game changer. He's an 89 overall, but he doesn't play like it. And then Framil Reyes was good this season, actually better than last year in terms of getting on base. He walked a lot more, which is good to see. 29 home runs and a 762 OPS and .2 WAR. So, just pure offensive numbers, was probably the best hitter on this team. Did decline in this kind of versus lefties a lot, but did go up in discipline. One more year of arbitration. I think Framil Reyes trade is also on the table for sure. Really, anybody that has value on this team is on that trade block for them. Harry Ford was not very good. I mean, 290 on base. His power numbers went up like crazy, though, +4 and +10. But his contact ratings actually went down, which is definitely not what we want to see there. So, I don't know. Is Harry Ford the long-term solution at catcher with this team? I think that remains to be seen. Rhys Hoskins, just super average. Really doesn't do great at anything there. His slugging is really low. I mean, 379 slugging is just not going to cut it for me. And he is, one more year. I just, I maybe could trade him, but I don't know. You're not going to get a ton for Rhys Hoskins. His prime is over, it seems like. Brandon Lewis was bad in 72 games. Brian Hayes was awful in 137 games. I mean, these numbers are just, how do you put up a 273 on base percentage, man? Like, that's just so bad. James Tarantino's was also not very good in 65 games. John Gomes, you know what? 77 games for a 36-year-old backup catcher who ended up being a starter on this team. I will take those numbers. Those numbers are not terrible at all. But yeah, you can see, I mean, this guy was bad. Seth Beer was very bad. Ryan Rocchio, 59 games. He was absolutely dreadful. Did improve his attributes a good amount, but, I'm going to have to think about wanting to start him. And then Joshua Baez, I mean, this team has got really no choice. I think they're going to have him start next year on the lineup here. Did play 4 games, and unfortunately, I didn't catch any of that. He was actually insane in 4 games. Okay, so promising stuff there. I do think Joshua Baez has a really high potential. I like to see what he can do next year. But as you can tell, not a lot of talent on this lineup right now. This team is just and not in a great spot. Not a lot of guys on the major league roster that you have high confidence in. There is definitely prospects on this team, though, but one of them being Benito Venezuela, who I don't think is ready yet. I think his K-9 rate is just boosting his overall a ton, but in terms of his other attributes, they're not there yet for me to be comfortable having him start next season. You also do have Jordan Wicks, who did pitch a little bit this year at 11 games, and he was not amazing, but some decent increases there for him. Jose Lopez, really good development this year. I don't think he's ready yet. That home run per nine is still super low, but he is a guy that has a decent potential there. Luis Oviedo, I think I'm going to give him a shot in this bullpen next year. And catchers don't have anybody to really look forward to. They do have Blaine McDonald in single A. He's going to get double A action next year, and I don't think he's really that far away from being in the majors. He's only 23 though, which is kind of a concern. A bit of an older guy there. But they do have Nick York too. I don't know. His potential was about mid B, I think. They do have Levis Martinez, who doesn't look that far away. Probably a couple of seasons out from joining this team. But then the guy that I am most excited about on this team is Enrique Gonzalez, who is only 19 years old. Got really good power upside and increased his attributes a good amount there. So I'm pretty excited about what he can do. And then Roberto Jimenez, good defense, good contact, good vision. So he still has a little bit of developing to do there for sure. And then they did get Alan Little as well in the draft, and he has 88 potential. So that's not what his ratings are going to be, but he's another good outfielder that they're going to look to develop as well. What can this team do? Who can they trade in the offseason to get some more prospects and start building a team that's going to compete in the next few years? That's going to be their question going into the offseason. Question for this team going into the offseason is how can they win this division? I mean, they were a game away from winning it last year. They were 2 games away from winning it this season. And so what are they going to do about the winning this division here? I think this division is very winnable. So only won it with 84 wins. And this team, they need to figure it out. Mookie Betts was bad against lefties, apparently. My goodness. And he also did decrease in potential. So that's not a good sign there. And, these numbers aren't awful. They are better than last year. But his power, his power, I think, has just dropped off a little bit. I mean, it wasn't as bad as last year in terms of his power, but Mookie Betts hitting less than 20 home runs is just not something that you would expect. And not something that you would expect based off of where his attributes are at. I just feel like he could be playing a lot better in this league than he is right now. And I don't really know what the deal is with that. But this team is unfortunately, they're stuck with him for a long time. I mean, that contract runs all the way until 2032. So Mookie Betts has got to turn his kind of career around a little bit. Not like he's doing poorly again, but I know he's capable of a lot better than that. Andres Jimenez was not very good. Brian Reynolds competed for the MVP all year. I mean, he almost won it. He had a higher OPS and on base than Fernando Tatis did. Had 191 hits, 44 doubles, and 7 triples, almost 40 homers there, 117 ribbies. So he was just absolutely incredible. And I mean, this season was unreal that he had last year, but in a lot of ways, even better. That he had an even better season this year. And he was better defensively, too. Only 3 errors this year, 9.2 WAR. That was second in all of baseball, I believe. But he's an absolute beast. He is such a, he's a superstar at this point, cementing himself as the guy, the building block for this team. And then you had Carlos Correa, who had a injury-shortened season last year and actually had a good season this year. I like these numbers. Below 800 OPS. Okay, I think he can hit a little bit better than that, but plus 10 power versus to lefties, that's really good there. 36 triples or doubles is really awesome. And 80 over RBIs. And really good defensively still, 5.2 WAR. Actually, his highest WAR in his career. What? Okay, that is not what I expected. That's insane. So yeah, Carlos Correa was really good, and this is his last year on this team though. So do they try and give him an extension during the season? I think they really need Carlos Correa to be able to make a playoff push. He's got to be part of that equation. How do you keep him on your roster going forward? Josh Rojas, good attribute developments, was okay. I think they can find somebody else that can, play third base a little bit better. He does have a lot of position flexibility, though, which I like. Bobby Dolbeck only played 37 games, so not really much to go off here with his sample. I don't know. He probably will be starting on this lineup next year. We'll see. And then Wilson Contreras also only played 8 games and then suffered a season-ending injury. So can't judge his sample this year at all either. Didn't really develop very much. But, 3 more years for him under contract. Seth Brown was not very good. 140 games. I mean, I gave him another chance to prove that he can start on this team, and he just did not prove to me that he really should be a starter going forward on this lineup. And then Francisco Mejia, last year was pretty solid for him, and he kind of blew it up. Like, he had a lot more games played this year, and he was not great. 230 average, 287 on base. So, yeah, his contact versus lefties went way down. I don't know. I think he's still fine, but this is his prove it year. This really is. Like, I'm not going to be really concerned about wanting to bring him back next season if he cannot perform this upcoming season. So this next year for him is going to be absolutely huge. And they do not have, they called down Nick Madrigal. It looks like they're, Jake Fraley was actually kind of nasty off the bench there. Wow. Steven Duggar was not bad off the bench either. Okay, this team's bench was maybe one of the better ones in baseball there. And Jackson Merrill, I don't think he's hitting stats already yet. I think, one more year in the minors is going to be what I want from him. Once these stats kind of get up closer to the 60s, then I will be a lot more then I will want him to make that appearance, but I just don't think his hitting stats are there yet. So he's very close, but not going to be on the starting lineup, at least on day 1 and next year, then Peyton Henry as well here. So they did call down, they did call down George Madrigal, who was up there for Rookie of the Year voting, and he did have a legitimately very good season. 740 OPS, 31 doubles, 14 home runs. I mean, nothing wrong with these numbers at all there. So, good stuff for him. Good +8 contact versus righties increase, and you know what I'm going to do right now is I am going to increase his potential to a B. Okay, yeah, his potential only at 75. Let's put him at an 83 for potential. And yeah, he's going to be, I want him to make an impact, and he'll be starting next year on this team, I would expect. Gabriel Arias did play 43 games this year, was really poor. I mean, a 517 OPS is absolutely dreadful. So call him down. I want to give him another shot. Man, I just hope he can actually take advantage of it. Billy Calhoun, really good increases to his attributes, but in 57 games in Colorado, he was, didn't get on base at all, really. His OPS is okay, I guess. I don't know what that means for him going forward in the future on this roster. That is this team. That's all this team. Okay, Vernon Carson as well. Does have be potential? I don't know what it is there, but we go to the lineup or the pitching rotation, and this is where this team really struggled this year, and this is why this team did not make the playoffs. I think right here, That's McCullers Jr. He gave up 115 walks. I mean, that's ridiculous. That is really bad. And I gave up almost 100 runs in 190 innings. Just yikes. Just a bad season for him. Blake Snell was okay. I mean, he's a free agent. I don't know. I really think they can find a better pitcher out there. 4 ERA. He does have a lot of strikeouts this year. 214 is a lot. What is his K rate, actually? Yeah, 10.84. But, 4 ERA, I mean, this is not bad, but I think they can find somebody better. Is Chris Sale? Yikes. This was a bad season for him. 103 runs. I don't know why this came out of nowhere. He was pretty solid last year for Portland, and this trade did not work out for either party because Grayson Rodriguez was not very good for Portland either. But man, home runs went up a ton. He got 38 homers this year. That is just not it. So Chris Sale was really poor this season. That is unfortunate. One more year. He's got to prove it this season. Wade Miley was fantastic. Got him from the Vipers, and he finished with a below 3 ERA and a 1.3 whip. So, awesome season there. You see under contract he is. So, yeah, he'll be the number 4, number 5 pitcher going into next year. Luis Patino was not very good. 4.57 ERA. Yeah, that's a lot of runs there that he allowed. And then the bullpen, Spencer Turnbull was not great. Worse than last year. Nick Vincent was good. So this is a good sign. He actually came over in that trade to get Chris Sale. So it wasn't a complete loss because Nick Vincent was good for them in their bullpen this season. But he did get tanked in overall. And one more year. Yeah, we'll see what he can do next year. But then this guy didn't pitch at all. I don't really know if he's really actually ready for the majors or not. He's a 74 overall, though. Trevor Richards, potential increase, which is awesome. But had an okay season. Not anything super spectacular there. Will Smith, same kind of thing. A good season here, 17 runs and 39 innings, 28 holds. I mean, I'll take that. Cody Hoyer, though, was really awesome. He was fantastic here. Kind of moved him over into the setup man role, and he got 19 holds, 22 runs, and 67.2 innings this season. Under 1 ERA and a 1.1 whip, and really got good attitude increases. So that's awesome to see. And Brett Anderson, 84 innings, wasn't the greatest. And then Jordan Romano, 46 saves and 50 tries there. 20 earned runs allowed, only 3 homers allowed in 56 innings, and a 3.2 ERA. So not as good as last year, especially in terms of preventing base runners, but still a very good season for Jordan Romano. 2 more years for him under contract. He'll continue to be this team's closer going forward. But, this team does have Matt Manning, who was bad this year. I mean, 34, 11 starts, just did not pitch very well at all. 1.73 ERA whip is insanely bad. Arnold Edwards, they got him in a trade from the Charlotte Pilots, actually, and he was good. He was fantastic in his first season in the majors. Rookie at 30 years old, and he's 31 now. And yeah, that's good numbers, man. That's a good season for you. You should definitely, he might actually be a starter going into next season. We'll have to see what this rotation ends up looking like. And then Pedro Palmeiro is a draft pick from last year that looks really good, looks really close to the majors. I don't think I'm going to have him start at the majors next season, but he is just right around the corner. This guy, Maddox Bruins, is also really close to being major league ready. I like where his attributes are. And then Max Meyer, he's already 25. I think the time is now for us to see what he looks like. So Max Meyer will be. I'm planning to have him in the rotation to start this upcoming season. So there actually is like 3 really good young pitchers right here for this Rattlers team. So that is a reason to get kind of excited there. That is a reason to hope for the future. And then they do have Erwin Ramirez too, who is further out from the majors, but does have a potential and is still a guy that this team can look forward to in the future. Bobby Ordonez is a really interesting see potential elite pitcher as well that they have. So there's some pitching talent on this team that we'll see how it figures in the next few seasons. But now we go to the Bees, and the Bees ended up winning this division somehow, some way, with 84 wins. They had an awesome final month of the year for them. Their September was fantastic, and they kind of shocked me, at least, by winning this division once again. And that was, again, they did this after they traded a couple of their really, their big stars on their team. But Jack Flaherty was fantastic, over 200 strikeouts, a 3.53 ERA, and 171 hits. Really good numbers for him. Good attribute increases as well. 18 quality starts, 3.8 WAR. So all that stuff looks fantastic. Still under contract for a while, and that contract gets cheaper going forward, which is good to see. Mitch Keller wasn't very good. Joey Lucchesi, 4.45 ERA whip. Yeah, not amazing. Chris Bassett was amazing. A sub-1 whip, 70 earned runs, 153 hits, and only 59 walks this year. So, yeah, Chris Bassett is one of the best, on-base preventers in baseball, and that holds true once again for him this year. 23 quality starts and 3 complete game shutouts, and a 3.5 WAR, and a 3.5 WAR without getting a lot of strikeouts. And then Jack Leiter, who, he wrapped up the Rookie of the Year race pretty early on the end of this season, I think. 198 innings, 11-8 record, but 69 runs, 75 walks, 161 strikeouts, a 3.14 ERA. All these numbers are fantastic. 22 quality starts and a 2.2 WAR. So he was great. Really good attribute increases, +5. Some +5s there, +6 to walk per 9. So all that really good stuff there. Jack Leiter is great. And okay, we'll see. I don't know. Is this the pitching staff that's going to take this team far in the postseason? I'm not sure. They don't have Miles Michaelis anymore, so we'll have to see. And this bullpen concerns me a ton. +7 home run per 9 for Sam Bachman, actually, which is good. But overall, his numbers were pretty poor. 4.69 ERA, 1.6 WHIP. Jacob Junis didn't even pitch at all this season in the regular season. Evan Marshall had a 1.43 WHIP and 4.73 ERA. Alex Reyes, 56 walks in 65 innings. That is just really bad there. So had a 1.91 WHIP, which is insanely high. And Adam Kolarek, 1.47 WHIP. His ERA is over 4. He's down to a 65 overall now. And Tyler Rogers was easily their best relief pitcher this year. But even he had a 3.46 ERA, but he only had 5 walks all year, which is actually insane. That walk rate is 0.82. That's ridiculous. Okay. But -11 to home run per 9. Wow. Okay. Yep, the home run per 9 rate skyrocketed for him this year. He gave up 12. He gave up twice as many as he did last year, and basically the same amount of innings. Yeah, this bullpen, and then, Scott Barlow was and he was incredible last year. He was pretty bad this season at 4.66 ERA. So this bullpen it's just not deep, and it's my biggest concern with this team in the playoffs. I just don't know how they're going to be able to get outs in the late innings. You got to count on your starters to go very deep into games for you. But Joey Wendell +12 to power versus righties. Okay. Overall, this is a very, very average season by Wendell. Nothing about him this season stands out to me. DJ Stewart was bad. He took a step back after that trade and got him 111 games this year, and he was just not very good there. But there's Ronald Acuna Jr., and he is the engine that makes this team go. He is, easily their best player, and he had his best season of his career here. An over 1 OPS, a 667 slugging, 406 on base, 326 average, 74 walks, 42 bombs, 48 doubles, which leads the league, that led the NL, 9 triples. These numbers are unbelievable. And it's mainly because the on base being over 400. He led the NL in on base, led the NL in slugging, led the NL in OPS, and his WAR was really good, 10.5. So led the league in WAR because his defense is also really good still. So yeah, Ronald Acuna Jr., that's your MVP winner right there in my spreadsheet. I mean, he just had an unbelievable season, and he went a plus 12 in contact versus righties. This guy is just an unbelievable player, one of the best players in real life, and now in this series, you have to say, cementing himself, putting up league-wide stats. He is a guy that you just are scared to face when he comes up to the plate. CJ Cron is a free agent, by the way, after this season is over. Had a pretty good season there, 792 OPS, 29 home runs, and 81 RBIs, plus 10 to power versus lefties. That's an insane increase there. And yeah, he was very good. And he'll be one of the top first base prospects that teams are going to want to go after in the offseason for sure with those numbers. Elias Diaz was good in 101 games. I mean, those are good numbers for a catcher, 18 home runs. So he's got a lot of power as a catcher and is good defensively too, 2.5 WAR. So I like those numbers there. One more year for him under team control. Nick Madrigal was really awful. He just took a ginormous step backwards in his production this year. And Luis Torrens was really good. His power numbers went up by quite a bit there. But yeah, 240 average, 302 on base. He was up there with one of the better hitters on this team in a 2.1 WAR. So only 27 years old, 2 more years of contact team control left. So we'll see what they do with him and what they do with that position going forward. Miguel Andujar wasn't very good, below average there, but we'll be getting the starts in the playoffs. Miguel Vidal Brujan, plus 14 to kind of versus lefties, 26 years old. So he's, definitely an older prospect guy that this team is going to look to develop going forward in the future. But interested to see what he can do going into next season as a starter. His slugging was really bad, so that will be something to watch out for going into next year. But we'll have to see how he does here in the playoffs. So you look at that lineup, and I don't know. I mean, is this lineup like really playoff? Like, is this really a World Series winning lineup? I don't know. We'll see. I don't have super high expectations of this team in the postseason. I'll just have to say that. But we'll see. I mean, they're a hot team, and anything can happen in the postseason. So, in terms of prospects, also going forward, I don't know if this is a draft pick that they had, but Dennis Beckham, his hitting ratings actually look kind of insane. And he can only play DH because his defense is really poor. But I kind of want to give him some AAA playing time maybe and see if he can actually be a starter on this team. I know how insane that sounds, but I actually really like where his hitting ratings are. Grant Levine is okay. I don't know how far away he is from the majors. He's not super far away from the majors, I guess. Joe Perez, they got him in a trade. They got him in the Miles Michaelis deal, I believe, and I think he's going to be a starter on this lineup next season. I really think he's got, his defense is really good. His hitting ratings are pretty solid, so we'll see what Joe Perez can do starting on this team next season. That'll be an interesting storyline to follow. And then they also have Lonnie White, who is B potential, is a guy that I think is on my radar to be called up maybe next season at some point. I do like where his hitting ratings are at. And then they also have this guy who I do think was a draft pick from last year, Johnny Rodriguez. He's very intriguing. His defense is very poor, so you know what his role is going to be. He increased in potential this season, so he's up to a B potential now, and his hitting ratings are really good. 81 contact versus righties, 65 and 70 power in contact versus lefties, 58 vision, 76 discipline, 70 clutch. So, and he's got some good speed and base running aggressiveness too. So I want to see Johnny Rodriguez on this team's lineup next season as a DH. I really think that it'll be interesting to see what he can do offensively. I love those hitting ratings where they're at. So Johnny Rodriguez, watch out for him next season with this team. They do also Connor Scott, but I think he's still a few years away from the majors. Okay, just a couple more teams here. We'll go through the offense here and the San Diego Sharks, who ended up finishing 83 and 79, just missing out on this division. They were the team that finished one game behind the Bees this year. And their offense, I think I talked about this in a recent video, but I do think their offense was overall had some strong players on it. I mean, Dansby Swanson is a solid hitter here. 37 doubles is a lot there. 2 years of team control left. Dylan Carlson had a career year, had really awesome stats: 92 RBIs, 75 walks, and over 800 OPS for him, and a 3.1 WAR. And also some really great increases. He's only 25 years old, so he increased in attributes very nicely. And then Trey Mancini, this was an awesome move for the Sharks. I mean, he was just lights out this year. He was really, really good. 567 at bats, and he had a 310 batting average, a 381 on base, and an 891 OPS. His power was also really good, but awesome increases of discipline, kind of versus righties. Trey Mancini, one of the better success stories in the league, and 3.7 WAR, highest since 2019 for him. Just a really awesome season, man. So great stuff from Mancini. 2 more years of team control for him. Brent Phillips, he only plays defense because his offense is terrible. Eduardo Escobar, though, not a very good season. I'm not impressed with this. Below 700 OPS. He's a free agent. He can go. I'm not going to be worried about bringing him back. Josh Fuentes didn't really play very much. He was not great. Taylor Walls was okay. He got on base a lot more than I expected him to. 72 walks is not bad, but he just doesn't have a lot of power at all. And, I mean, his defense is very solid, but his hitting ratings are just not very developed. And, I mean, they're paying him super cheap, but is he really going to be the starter going forward on this team? I don't think so. Ian Happ was really good, though. 36 doubles, that's a career high for him. 26 home runs, 91 RBIs, career high for him. 262 batting average. 370 on base is really good. 89 walks is a career high for him there. So almost a 500 slugging, 867 OPS, 3.7 WAR. Really fantastic season by Ian Happ. This is great stuff for him. 3 more years of team control, and he also went up by +8 there in discipline and kind of versus righties. But yeah, Mike Zunino, his team is going to have to find a catcher in the offseason. -15 to power versus lefties. That is terrible. But I mean, Mike Zunino, 271 on base. Like, this is just not playable numbers. His defense is good, but his offense is just, he is a detriment to this team's offense right now. So you have some guys that I just think that there are some holes in this lineup. At catcher, at second base, kind of at the DH spot, at third base. So I think there's still a little bit of ways to go with this offense. You have Khalil Watson, who is, I think, very close to the majors. I don't think we're going to see him start in this lineup next year, but I do think that at some point next year he'll get a call up and he'll get a look in the majors. He is, a guy that's really high potential. So definitely a guy, in the future you got to watch out for. I'm also looking to see where Alec Tomas was, and yeah, Alec Tomas, I mean, good attribute increases, but his actual season was just kind of, it's like 292 on base, so below 300 on base. So overall, in terms of the numbers there, he didn't really have a very good season. And so that is something to watch out for. I don't know what they're going to do. This is like he's had over 1,000 career at-bats now, and his career numbers are just not very good. So do you keep using him? That is going to be the question for them. I don't know. Do you try to find another outfielder in the offseason? I think that is also a distinct possibility. But another problem with this team was also their pitching rotation. Julio Urias was fantastic, and he is only 27 years old. 1 more year of team control, but he is one of the best pitchers in baseball at this point. I mean, 210 innings pitched and 61 runs allowed. He slashed his home run rate in half. That's crazy. Allowed a little bit more walks, but struck out a lot more hitters as well. And finished with a 2.61 ERA and a 1.14 WHIP, 21 quality starts, 4.7 WAR. That's a career high for him. And yeah, look at the home run rate. I mean, 0.68 is insanely low, and increase that K rate as well. So Julio Urias is legitimately an ace. Don't mess with him. He is a fantastic pitcher there at the top of this rotation. But then it gets kind of bad after that. Mitch Bradkeller, he was not amazing. Some good attribute increases, but a 4.1 ERA. He wasn't bad. Michael Kopech was not very good. This is better, I guess, than last year, but not that much better. Not as much of an increase in stuff that I wanted to see from him. I don't know, man. He's just didn't pitch very well. Domingo Herman also had a down year compared to last season, and he is declining. So I don't know, man. I mean, as a 3, I guess that's fine, but Nick Pivetta was fine. I mean, not like, I mean, I guess Michael Kopech was probably the worst out of these guys, but you just pass Julio Urias, like, who is a guy that you know is going to be reliable? Like, they don't really have a number 2 starting pitcher right now that is super reliable. That is a guy that you put into a start and you know he's going to be very solid for you. So they're definitely going to have to improve this starting rotation next year for sure. Jordan Wiles was pretty good as a long reliever. Pretty actually like similar WHIP, but a lot lower ERA than last year and about the same amount of innings. Carlos Hernandez, this move to get him didn't really work out. He was not very good at all. Jorge Alcala was insanely good, though. +7 to home run per 9. 91 innings this year and had a 1.88 ERA and a 1.05 WHIP. So those numbers are fantastic. He had 64 strikeouts as well. But yeah, 2 more years of team control. Jorge Alcala was one of the better relievers in baseball. And this bullpen overall was very, very solid. Ryan Stanek also had a pretty good season. Maybe not as good as last year for him, but still a pretty solid season there. That guy didn't pitch at all. He had some good attribute increases, though, actually. But Aaron Bummer was maybe even more insane than Jorge Alcala was. Aaron Bummer was just ridiculous this year. 62 innings. After this season where he gave up 17 runs in 28 innings, he gave up 8 runs in 62 innings this year with a 1.06 ERA and 62 strikeouts. So, yeah, the difference between last season and this season, night and day, 1.7 WAR for him. I mean, look at those attribute increases. That's crazy. +8 to home run per 9, +6 to walk per 9. So, yeah, he allowed 1 homer. I mean, that's insane. I just realized that 1 homer across 62 innings? Are you serious? I mean, that's insane, man. That is just unbelievable. What was his home run rate? Oh my gosh. That's the lowest home run rate I've ever seen for a guy with over 60 innings in this franchise. That's incredible, man. So, yeah, Aaron Bummer was one of the best relievers in baseball this year. He was so good. And then Emmanuel Clase, just in case you forgot who their closer was, it's Emmanuel Clase, and he is insane also. 13 runs allowed. He allowed only 2 homers in 57 innings this year, 41 strikeouts, a 0.8 WHIP. He allowed 46 base runners this season, a career high in saves, and he's only 26 years old. So, I mean, he is going to be doing this for a long time in his career, man. +9 to home run per 9. That's insane. It's up to 99, that attribute now. So, this bullpen is awesome. Clase, Bummer, and Alcala, those guys are absolutely incredible. So you probably don't need to do a lot with that bullpen, but you definitely need to improve this starting pitching and some holes there in that batting lineup. So now we go to the last team in this episode, everybody, and it is the San Francisco Spiders, who actually had a bit of a turnaround this year. They had 96 losses last year. They improved that win total by 12 there, actually, and they won 7-8 games this year. I also did change their home uniforms, by the way. This is what their home unis look like now. It's not all black. I didn't really like their all black ones because also it's just not practical for them to wear all black home uniforms. But I really like that. Actually, I like these. I like the look of these jerseys now. The yellow or the orange becoming their primary color scheme. I did not change their away ones, I don't think, at all. Yeah, I didn't change their away ones at all. But new home jerseys for this team going into next season. But this pitching staff was pretty decent. Christian Javier, I mean, the walks are obviously kind of a huge issue for him, but he doesn't allow a lot of hits, which kind of counteracts a lot of walks. But he was good. He was fine this season, over 200 strikeouts and 184 innings, and you're only paying him $3 million. Chris Flexen was also pretty good. And, arbitration for 3 more years, I think that a trade with Chris Flexen is very possible. I think, he would be a guy that would have some decent trade value for a team. A guy that doesn't allow a lot of walks, doesn't really strike out a lot of batters there. The 4.7 K per nine is really low. But again, doesn't walk a lot of guys, doesn't allow a lot of home runs either. So he's a pretty solid number 2, number 3 pitcher, I think, for a team. And Joe Ross was also pretty solid, 3.44 ERA, 1.4 whip. So is he a guy that I also think about trading with this team in the offseason? That is, going to be on the table for sure as well. Ryan Pepio, kind of an oof season for him here. He has a very high whip, a lot of walks that he allowed this year, and also a lot of hits. So, I don't know what I expect. I didn't have crazy high expectations from him, and he was not great. And this bullpen was not really that good. I mean, Kyle Tyler wasn't very good. Gunnar Hoagland, 100 innings, and he was not very good. Didn't really develop that much. Sir Anthony Dominguez was kind of insane, actually, this year, though. I mean, wow, 51 innings for him and 8 runs allowed. That's it, and only 1 homer across 51 innings. So, arbitration, maybe he's a guy that I look to deal with this team in the offseason. Those numbers were pretty incredible, actually, for him. Stefan Christian, I don't really know how to pronounce that last name, but a very high whip, a lot of hits, and 20 walks allowed. The ERA wasn't at a bad spot. Trevor Rosenthal was good, 63 innings, a lot better than last year. 23 runs, only allowed 2 homers across 63 innings. Really good stuff there. Does still walk a lot of batters, but good. It increases to his attributes, actually. And 1 more year team control. He's also another guy that is on the table for a potential trade. Although Emil Garrett is, we called him up a little bit here towards the end of the season, plus 7 to K per nine. Really good stuff there. He's a guy that I think we're going to have again in this bullpen again, full time next year. Yimi Garcia was insane. Wow, 45 innings and 9 runs allowed, 34 strikeouts, 1.8 ERA, and under 1 whip. Only 13 walks, 27 base runner, or 27 hits. That's 40 base runners total that he allowed this season. So he is a free agent, though. So, I mean, that is kind of tough. I think I maybe could have traded him at the deadline, but he is going to be a sought-after relief pitcher. And then James Karinchak really exploded. I mean, he was pretty poor last year with this team, but this year, +4 to hit per nine, +6 to walk per nine. He didn't walk a lot of guys, but he was just fantastic. One of the better closers in all of baseball this year. 46 saves in 49 opportunities, only allowed 13 runs all season, and had 72 strikeouts. That's a ton of strikeouts. His K per nine was at 11.5 this year, and he nearly had a 1 WAR there. So, yeah, James Karinchak established himself as one of the premier closers to go for. And honestly, this bullpen is kind of goated. Like, this bullpen is actually really solid, especially if you get Yimi Garcia back. This is a bullpen that this team can build on for sure. I do think that a area of need is definitely the starting pitching. I mean, Christian Javier, he works as an ace, but I don't think he's really, he wouldn't be an ace on a lot of other teams. So that is a position that they need to go after some starting pitchers in free agency. I mean, I think really every team in this division can push and can really be busy in the free agent market, except for the Las Vegas Gamblers. But Tyler O'Neill was really solid this year, plus 12 the Connor versus lefties. He is one more year of arbitration, so important season for him coming up. But a 795 OPS, 23 home runs. I mean, good stuff from O'Neill, and he is really good defensively too. So he had a 3.4 WAR this season. And Kirk Casale, very solid. I mean, he just gets on base, 73 walks. That's a crazy increase from last year. I mean, a 356 on base percentage as a catcher. Like, not going to complain about that. He is honestly one of the better offensive catchers in baseball right now. 3.9 WAR. Super solid stuff, man. Kirk Casale is a really good player. I like him a lot. Ozzy Albies is, yeah, he had a down year. Only played 106 games, and he only had a 702 OPS. So his attributes are still really good. I think he's still capable of putting up really good seasons. And, that's going to be probably part of the key. Can Ozzy always return to form? That's going to be a storyline. And if he can, I think that this team, they get the pitching that they need. This team could be dangerous. Adley Rushman was really good. This is a lot better year than last year for him. 28 doubles, 20 home runs, 320 on base, and a 729 OPS, and a 2.7 WAR. So he's only 26 years old now, and I really like it. They're still paying him super cheap money, and he had some really good, good attribute increases, good season. Patrick Wisdom, he's kind of a beast. He's one of this team's premier power hitters right now, and really good attribute increases for him. 27 homers, I believe that led the team this year. 81 RBIs, I know that led the team, and had a 789 OPS. 3.8 WAR, $1.1 million. You're still having him, under team control. Man, I really like this offense so far. Like, okay, now we get down to kind of some guys that I don't know, like Lourdes Taveras, still really young, only 25 years old, but did play 55 games this year, didn't really play very well. Nico Goodrum is a free agent, and he is not going to be re-signed. Just a guy that doesn't, is very average, really, in his major league career. Then Amundo Sosa is not very good either. So there's some holes, definitely, here on this lineup. Like these bottom spots, you need to try to go after as somebody in the offseason maybe to improve those areas. Colin Cowser was really bad this season. Wow, 585 OPS is terrible. Jeremy Pena was also pretty bad. I mean, I don't know what to do with him, man. Like, sure, it was better than last year, I guess, but he just doesn't get on base, like, ever, man. It's tough for me to really consider having him start next year. Matthew Barefoot, is he really ready? I don't know if that's a starter in all reality. So, you got some holes. I mean, you got some holes. You got some areas that you could definitely improve. And, can they do that? They don't have a lot of pitching prospects here on this team. They have that Andino guy, but I don't think his potential is all that super high. They do have this guy that they just drafted, Johnny Padilla, who looks insane, is already a 70 overall. Okay, that's crazy. But, in terms of other prospects down here, I think they have a couple. I know they have, let's see, I know they have an outfielder here. Yeah, they have they have Joe Adell. And, Joe Adell, really good power versus lefties, but I don't know, really good development. He played really well in AAA this season. But, man, is he ready for the show? I don't know. I'm still a little bit hesitant on putting Joe Adell in as a starter right now. He just, the stats are the attributes. I think they need maybe a little bit more work. So he's close, but I don't think he's there yet. So yeah, we'll see what this team plans to do here in the offseason. This will be a very interesting offseason, how the NL West plays it. But that will be it for me. That is the National League recap. Sorry about it taking a long time. And I explained at the end, I did end up splitting it into two videos for you guys, so it's not super long. But that'll be it. We'll look at the American League next time. And, again, I've done the playoffs already in real time, but we will look at the American League, and then we'll get to the playoffs. in terms of what you guys will be watching on the channel. So thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more from me. And I will see all you guys in the next video. Have a great day, everybody, and God bless.